Outrage in Detroit this morning after a funeral for a 7-year-old girl who was shot and killed by police in a raid on her family's home. The whole time, a reality TV crew following the police was filming right outside.
May 14th, 2010, Mack Avenue on the east side of Detroit. A 16-year-old high school senior named Jareen Blake is up at the liquor store. Something happens between him and a 28-year-old named Chauncey Owens. Chauncey Owens goes home, comes back with another guy, and they kill the 16-year-old. In the aftermath of that, it comes out that this Chauncey's a suspect, and the Detroit Police Homicide Department gather around the house he's thought to be at.
And I really believe that the chief, he really wanted to make an impact, and he really wanted to get his name out there.
But is that two different things?
In reference?
Well, is making a good impact on crime, that isn't necessarily, him promoting himself isn't always conducive to fighting crime.
Well, that's the politics of it. However, though, this is a very political city. I understand. I understood what he was trying to do, because he's a f***ing sheriff, man. He was Wayne County, and Wayne County sheriff. No disrespect to them, but he came over. He don't know. He's a jailer. He don't know nothing about street life.
Chief of police at the time, a man named Warren Evans, who's now the chief executive officer of Wayne County, the city that Detroit is in. He had been filming what's called a sizzle reel with A&E Television. A&E is the channel that brings you the first 48. And a sizzle reel, I've made sizzle reels before when I was trying to sell shows. They try to pitch it to the network. So the chief of police was trying to sell a show called The Chief, about being the chief of police in America's most dangerous city. And the chief is out there, or he was there at some point, and the film crew is there, and the SWAT team is there along with homicide.
So when I met him, he says, GQ, what can we do? This is way before that Geo come up. What can we do? I said, Chief, you got to make the news.
The raid video, never publicly released, shows the moments leading up to the death of 7-year-old Ayanna Stanley Jones.
So it might seem normal that Detroit police would use the SWAT team, but really it's not. If you think about the fact there's 400 murders a year in Detroit, not to mention kidnappings, other serious crimes, they kick in doors looking for witnesses, persons of interest, probably several times a day on average, not to mention raiding drug spots where they know people have guns. They don't use the SWAT team for all that. SWAT team is for barricaded gunmen. SWAT team is for if the murder suspect knows you're coming to get him. But that wasn't the case in this one. But because Warren Evans and A&E were filming this pilot, they needed it to look exciting. So they're massed outside, and one of the SWAT team's name was John Weekly. He was a white SWAT team member that actually already was appearing on A&E in a show called Detroit SWAT. And I read in a newspaper article, real brief, right when it happened, and I never saw it referenced again, but a cop on the scene told the newspaper person that they almost never, ever use flashbang grenades, maybe once or twice in a whole year, but Warren Evans had them use it on this day. And they flashbanged the house, the SWAT team goes in. Bang! Flashbang grenade is thrown into the home. The police enter. Bang again. Officer John Weekly, a SWAT team officer's gun goes off, and it kills the 7-year-old girl. But then you got now these shows where they're literally making money off the murder of people. I mean, and in Detroit, that means overwhelmingly black people. Now, A&E doesn't kill the people, certainly, but... So what happened in the house to lead to little Ayanna Jones's death? John Weekly, immediately after what happened, well, Chauncey Owens, the suspect, was taken into custody.
So, of course, but the little girl's dead downstairs, so crime scene happens there. So you're trying to solve what happened at one murder crime scene and create another murder crime scene because of the chaotic way it was carried out. And Officer John Weekly states that someone grabbed his gun inside and he caused him to pull the trigger. The grandmother is suspected to be the one who grabbed the gun. Myrtilla, I think her name was, but she stated she didn't grab any gun. The day of, they tested her for drugs or system, I don't know, and they tested her hands for powder burns. There were no powder burns. There's no evidence she had grabbed a gun. So Weekly gets charged with involuntary manslaughter, and somebody from the film crew, Allison Howard, gets charged with obstruction of justice and perjury for giving the videotape, because she was the one taping, to third parties. I assume that means the network, probably the network and Warren Evans. Well, let me not say probably, this is conjecture, but certainly possible that the network and Warren Evans worked together to make sure that both the network and Warren Evans' reputations came out of this undamaged. And probably a lot of people don't know about this. It's a real fiasco, right? I mean, whether Evans was there at the moment it occurred or not, why is he? Other police departments do it. It's pretty inappropriate when you think about it. It's one thing to follow homicide police around about a case that already happened.
Warren Evans has never been camera shy, but the chief who welcomed Hollywood into his world was definitely taking the heat from our cameras lately. As Detroit's top cop, Warren Evans loved the spotlight.
I'll do whatever it takes.
In this promo for a reality TV show called The Chief, it appears Evans was on board to pitch the project. That show led to his resignation, but our cameras have been showing another side of Evans' department for months. The Action News investigators have been pressing the chief for answers on several issues, and his PR guru's typical response of "this was a problem before Evans was put in charge" started to wear thin.
Is forcing them to work double shifts repeatedly appropriate?
Well, first of all, I have not been made aware of either of the assertions you made about people falling asleep.
I recently demanded answers from the chief about serious staffing shortages in the department's 911 call center. Evans got testy when I pushed him for specifics about why 911 operators were being disciplined for refusing to work repeated double shifts.
What you're doing is asking me about something in the nuance of a bureau somewhere that has never been brought to my attention.
Now, Ayanna Jones' grandmother stated that the flashbang grenade came through the window and hit Ayanna and caught her on fire. So the little girl's caught on fire and then she gets shot. And her aunt is the woman upstairs, and that's whose boyfriend is the murder suspect. And guess who the accessory, the guy that Chauncey came and got to go back to the store with them, who provided the gun, is Jones, Ayanna's own father. So the men in the household brought the homicide there. A&E and the chief created this chaotic environment, and the 7-year-old girl is dead. All for what? An argument at a liquor store and to make a sizzle reel so that the chief and A&E could make some more money. After a 1-year internal and federal investigation, in October 2011, a grand jury indicted John Weekly on involuntary manslaughter and reckless endangerment with a gun. He admitted in the first trial that, quote, "It's my gun that shot and killed a 7-year-old girl." His first trial resulted in a deadlocked jury, then they had a retrial. That was deadlocked again, and eventually Kim Worthy, the Wayne County prosecutor, started dropping charges, and Weekly, got reinstated. He'd been on paid leave for 5 years during all this going on, and as of 2019, he had been reinstated, probably to desk duty. I don't know if he's there now. I don't know why he wouldn't be. The videographer, Allison Howard, she got charged, like I said, with perjury and obstruction of justice. She ended up pleading guilty to the obstruction of justice, and she got 2 years of probation and a $2,000 fine. Chauncey Owens later was found guilty of killing the 16-year-old up on Mack Avenue, Jareen Blake, And he got what first-degree murder carries in Michigan, mandatory life no parole, a.k.a. the Nat Turner. And Damon Jones, Ayanna's father, he got sentenced to a long term, but he recently got resentenced into 2019. He 10 to 20 for accessory to second-degree murder or something. And he's been in all this time, so he can get out in a couple years. And Ayanna Jones' family, Jeffrey Feiger, the well-known ambulance chaser, aka social justice advocate or whatever, represented Ayanna Jones' family. They got an $8.25 million settlement in 2019. Warren Evans went on, like I said, he's now the Wayne County executive.
2 years, the 7 investigators have exposed how friends and family of Wayne County Executive Warren Evans have benefited financially while he's been in office.
And tonight, 7 investigator Ross Jones is turning his attention to the Wayne County Airport.
A&E is still churning out shows, so a lot of people got paid. Nobody really got punished for Ayanna Jones's death. I mean, her father presumably is hurt emotionally, but I don't know if he goes and kills 16-year-olds. Maybe, I don't know what he thinks about children. Very dark story, obviously. When Ayanna Jones's father, Damon, was sentenced, the mother of Jareen Blake had this to say in court. "Everybody tells me to be strong. I can't stay strong no more. I need help. I feel like I'm about to have a nervous breakdown. I forgive you, but I'm never going to forget what you did, you and the other coward."
The sad reality is the Detroit police kill a lot of people. There's a lot of Detroit cops that have killed people and are still on the force. One, Eugene Brown, he shot 6 people and killed 3 in only 6 years on the force. And tens of millions were paid out in settlements to the families of the people he killed. In fact, I have the case files on one of them. The lawyer who sued and won gave me the case files. And Eugene Brown shot this guy when he was running in the back. Officer Brown shot a young guy in the back when he was running, and the evidence in the civil trial showed that he was then killed by a single gunshot wound to the chest, and there were powder burns on his chest consistent with it being at point-blank range. In the civil case, the attorney I knew showed and proved beyond the level of doubt required in a civil case that Eugene Brown put his gun to the guy's chest who was already shot, executed. This is a guy who didn't even get put off the force. So John Weekly, whose gun killed Ayanna Jones, he was on paid leave for 5 years, and he got put back on the force in 2019 after 2 mistrials. They didn't put him on the SWAT team. He might be on desk duty. Ayanna Jones, sad case all around. And to me, as somebody that works in the media, make video stuff, I think A&E and Chief Warren Evans are the people that sort of got away with something. Warren Evans, and he didn't fix the crime in Detroit, so I don't know why he was considered successful. He was able to kind of keep his name from getting too muddied in this case, though. He's definitely got some blame in it, and he's now Chief Executive Officer of all of Wayne County. Al Prophet, Detroit, stay safe. Rest in peace, Ayanna Jones.